That record holds now with Hamilton leading by
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello!
And we have the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix to talk about. And my word...
Had a little sex wee. Oh.
Did ya? Good man.
Oh.
My word. My first question is, what happened in 2016 then?
You know, that is an excellent question.
Why was that so dull?
It might be the cars, because obviously the cars went wider. But I don't see what... I don't know, but I think this was more entertaining than last year's race.
Yes, I would say so.
I don't know if that's just because it's new, but this here is what Liberty Media needs to hold up and say, we want this 20 times a year, please.
Yeah.
I want that. I don't give a fuck who was the fastest. I don't care about the fastest laps, although it was fun seeing them change.
We're not going to Spain. We're going back to Azerbaijan.
Well, I don't know if you saw my Ask Crofty question that I sent to him.
No, I didn't.
I'll tell you in a bit. But anyway, my point is, this was an entertaining race. Mm-hmm. There was so much going on. It was delicious. This was like a delicious feast of a meal, and it was fantastic. It had everything. I would never in a million years have guessed the final positions, even 5 laps before the end.
No.
You know? I mean, hell, in my notes, I literally put here, Grosjean's ruined the race, because I thought there was no way we were going to have a decent race after that safety car at the end.
Ah, okay, yeah. I was getting worried because they just wouldn't clear that flipping car.
And I was their list, and it was just like, I thought, like, there's no way we're going to clear it, and it's going to end behind the safety. Like, the safety car will come in on the last lap, and they'll make a run to the line like they did a few years ago, I think at Monaco or something. Yep. And it's just going to be shit. And I was annoyed because I thought that the Red Bull safety car was just enough to tighten everything up before the end, but it just gone on too long because Grosjean was a twat. And then, then we had those last 3 laps.
Yeah.
And oh my, there was more action in those 3 laps than there were in the last, I don't know, 12 years at Monaco. There's going to be a lot of Monaco bashing in this episode, incidentally, people. So if that offends your little ears, piss off.
I'm ready.
Good. So wow, this was fun.
Good. I'm glad to hear it because
you know what the hardest bit was?
Go on.
It was not messaging you every 5 minutes.
Ah, okay, right. Well, let's get into that then, because I had to take my boy football, and he scored an awesome free kick, so that's a good side of things. And
if this was the Australian Grand Prix, fine. What bully hit him?
Yeah, exactly. But I had to miss the race. I had to watch it on replay later, and I think by the time it had all settled down, then I got home and watched it, so everyone had seen everything. It wasn't as if I walked in with 15 minutes to go. The race was cleaned up. I think Sky had gone off the air. My video recorder had stopped recording. My Sky Plus had stopped recording, and I was so far behind everyone else. But luckily, I didn't hear anything. Well, no, I turned the radio off on the way home because I didn't want to be spoiled, just in case. Because I know my flipping luck.
I know what you say, because I mean, I kind of have to avoid Twitter whenever I miss a race because they literally were posting who won within 2 seconds of it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: even if I'd seen who won, I would still have really enjoyed watching to see how that happened.
Well, yeah, I think 5 laps from the end, you'd be like, "What? How does he do that then?"
Never mind 5 laps from the end, like the penultimate lap.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, wait, what? Really? Seriously? Yeah. So, yeah, like as we were saying previously in the green room, it's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And this was one hell of a road trip.
Yeah, this was really good. I was so entertained.
I was kind of a bit nervous. I'm like, last year's race was so good, and I was worried that was going to be like, again, because we've had one really bad race, one amazing race. And I'm like, best we can hope for is it kind of evens out and it's just mediocre.
Yeah.
And it's just, no, it was so good.
You know what's going to happen now, though? We're going to expect this from now on.
Hey, as long as we get this from now on, I'm fine with that. Just because I know it's going to come up. Everyone out there, we're going to swear. So
yes,
fair dues, fair warning. If sensitive ears are listening, maybe go away. Also, neither of us have a clue about anything. I mean, we're the biggest idiots on the planet.
Well
literally.
Said.
We're currently in court proceedings with the Grand Tour guys over for title of biggest idiot in the world because we think we deserve that title. So that's going through arbitration at the minute, probably at the High Court sometime soon. But yeah, we are the biggest idiots on the planet. So don't take anything that we say with anything other than our stupid opinions.
Yes, well said. Well said,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much.
I thought so too, yes. But yeah, fucking amazing.
Yes. Okay, right. We're getting to the actual race very soon. But unfortunately, we have to go through free practice and qualifying to get to that point. But yeah, they weren't too bad.
We have news as well.
Yeah? Okay, well, let's start with some sort of news then.
Something resembling the news, yes. Right. Shall I go first?
Yeah, go for it. I've only got one thing and one thing I don't want to mention. And if it doesn't come up, then I won't mention it. So I don't care.
Oh, okay, fine. Although you have me intrigued now.
No. Don't worry.
All right, fine. So the first bit of news that I have is that they've changed regulations for, I think, 2019, where they've increased the fuel limit on the cars.
Okay.
So I think it's going I don't know what it's going from or what it's going to, but the theory is that they'll be able to run faster, to run at full power for a lot more. So no more fuel saving.
Okay.
Although that's bullshit because they don't have a minimum weight limit. They've just increased the maximum weight.
That's right, yeah.
Of fuel, or the fuel, whatever it is. And since we know that fuel equals lap time, they'll just won't fuel it as much or something. I don't know. Yeah. But something stupid like that. I was reading an article actually, just tangentially aligned to this, in that they've actually increased the weight for the cars next year.
Oh, okay.
But the weight of the cars next year is only 40 kilos lighter than that the Porsche LMP1 car that's been doing the rounds, the one they've stripped down.
Yes, yeah, the one that's been blitzing lap records.
So it's a Formula One car should not be in the same weight class as a bloody LMP1 car.
No, they are the size 0. I hate to say it, but supermodel type thing, isn't it? It's LMP1. That how would you explain it in planes? These are supposed to be fighter jets of the plane world, aren't they?
No. So the Formula One cars are supposed to be the Interceptors, like the Lightnings, if you remember back in the day, sort of thing. It's basically the biggest, fastest engine you can with skimpy little wings that's designed to get from point A to point B as quick as it can. Interesting note about the Lightning: on takeoff, if you went full burn on that thing, you'd be out of fuel in 12 minutes. So that's a Formula One car.
Okay.
An LMP1 car is a lot more like a strike fighter, an endurance fighter, one which is supposed to, like the Lightning 2, the new stealth one, which is supposed to go a long way into enemy territory and bomb something and then come back.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. These are supposed to be skimpy, light cars that are just, they're supposed to blow your mind, aren't they? And then just add in 40 kilograms is not going to do that.
Pretty much. And so, yeah, it just seems wrong to me that that's where we are with them.
Yeah, batteries weigh a lot though, mate. Batteries weigh a lot.
It's very true. It is very true. But yeah, I mean, Kubica was basically saying that when he quit racing, was forced out of racing, the cars were weighing maybe 600 kilos.
Yep.
So 250 kilos have been added to these cars since. I mean, that's literally like driving with another driver on the back of these cars.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Might as well just have them two-seaters. Ooh, there's an idea.
Anyway, that was one bit of news. Do you want to give your bit and then I'll give my other bit?
Well, the only bit I had was the Halo graphic that they used over the weekend.
I loved that.
Did you enjoy it? Yeah?
I did. It was amazing.
So
why... every time you go to that onboard view, I want that Halo graphic.
Well, what they've done, they've incorporated the Halo into the graphic because it's kind of dead space. And so instead of blocking the driver and driver's view, etc., which you would normally do by putting like a big circle down at one of the corners and showing throttle on and brake on and rev limiters, etc., they've incorporated it into or overlay it on top of the halo. And I think it's a brilliant way of just covering it up. And so why not, when you go on board, just go onto that?
100%. It's great. I love it.
And you got the rev counter, which slowly creeps around the actual arch of the halo, which I really like.
Yep.
You got your gears, you got your speed.
You got brake and accelerate.
Yeah, you got accelerator on and brake on as well. So you're getting all that information. It's real basic information which you need, and it's not badly out of sync either. Sometimes when they've incorporated this, it's been a bit out of sync and looks a bit shit. So this is working really well. It's in kind of like a blue halo-esque type thing, which kind of transparent, so you can see what's going on underneath. I don't want them to go to the Formula E style, where they bring up a kind of menu that covers the whole screen, and it's very, you can see through it. It's transparent, but it kind of blocks everything on that page.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want them to go to that. But what they're doing at the moment, I'm really enjoying.
Oh, no, absolutely. When I first saw that in qualifying, I was just like, yes!
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, it works really well.
Mm-hmm. So 100% more of that. I completely forgive the Halo if you do keep doing that, because it was great.
Yeah, okay. Right, what else you got?
Okay, a couple more bits, actually, because I lied. Can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Jeff Bose or so. I don't know. Anyway, the guy who's been in charge of designing for McLaren cars has been asked to fall on his sword, and has, I don't think he's been sacked from McLaren, but he's certainly been redeployed within the company.
Right.
Because, wouldn't you believe it, after getting rid of a Honda engine, which was the woe of everything because they've had the best chassis for ever, apparently, they're still shit.
Well,
and literally, Fernando Alonso is dragging that car around by sheer force of personality.
Yeah, I would imagine that his calculations were correct, and when he turned around to his bosses and said, look, it does everything. It works in the wind tunnel, as we've said before. And yeah, I'm sure the numbers added up and it looked really, really good. But as soon as you get it out into the field, out into the muck and bullets, then yeah, they've kind of been humbled, really, haven't they?
You'd hope so, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever they're going to do, they got to fucking hurry up and do it, because I tell you what, if near as I can tell, there are 3 seats in the top 3 teams open at the end of this year.
Yep.
And if any of them was to so much as sniff in Alonso's direction, he's out of there. And if you don't have Fernando Alonso in that car, you're back down amongst the Saubers.
That is very true. You're battling with Williams and Saubers, and yeah, that's not where anyone wants to be at the moment, especially Williams or Sauber.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, a couple of little bits of news on the Williams front, rumours, if you will. There's a rumour circulating around that they're looking for a closer technical partnership with Mercedes to, in effect, become a B team.
Okay.
A bit like how Haas and or maybe Sauber are, which Williams have vehemently denied.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's
kind of goes against their grain, though, doesn't it?
A little bit. And the last bit of news, it isn't really news, it's just shit stirring because it's what he does. But apparently Bernie Ecclestone's been walking around spreading tails and, you know, tossing grenades around, as is his wont. So good old Bernie.
I think they should stop reporting on him.
You think so? It's basically crazy old man says shit at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that guy again that turns up. Look, we know that he's been in charge. He was at, was it Bahrain where he turned up wearing the old Formula One logoed T-shirt?
Yeah.
Or was it China or somewhere like that? Anyway, he turned up, rocking up, wearing the old logo. And really, someone should have said, look, I know he's trolling, but someone should have pulled him aside and said, look, that ain't going to wash. We know what you're doing, but you change. Here, have a shirt. It's got the new logo on it, or you can have this another shirt. It's 150 quid, so you can't moan about that. Just go change. And that's what should have been said.
Fuck, kick him out.
Well, the thing is, you can't kick him out for wearing the wrong shirt, can you? But he's going around, people want to hear the crazy old man talking stories. You know,
he knows that does. They want him to stir the shit because they can report on it.
I think they should make him hold a cat every time he's in front of the TV. So at least he'd look mad when reporting.
Like a Bond villain? Yeah,
maybe, yeah. Oh, look at this crazy old man holding a cat saying that Lewis Hamilton doesn't want to race anymore. You know, add the cat to the situation and it null and voids everything that he says.
Fair enough.
I think that would work. Okay, so yeah, Bernie.
Ooh, one last bit of news, tangentially Formula One news. Not really, but I'm going to report it anyway because it entertains me. Button's doing LMP1 at Le Mans. Woo!
Oh, okay, right. So, do we know which team he's in?
I did post it on the Facebook group. Man will look thing up while Grand Prix Podcast.
How many LMP1 teams are there? Is it just one now?
No, it's only one factory team. The rest are going to be independent and stuff. So okay. SMP Racing. So yeah, he'll be racing alongside Vitaly Petrov.
Okay.
And Mikhail Aleshin. Don't know who that last one is.
Right.
But anyway, he's from IndyCar. But still, Button's going to be racing against Alonso in LMP1 at Le Mans.
That'd be good.
That's going to be good.
That's almost worth a trip, isn't it?
It almost is.
It's going to be so busy, though. There's so many races over that weekend.
It's probably definitely worth a special, though, if nothing else.
We shall see, because like I said, there's a lot of races in a very short space of time. And, yeah, we shall see. I don't know if I can actually get a trip over to France. But, crazier things have happened.
Right. Anyway, that's all that I can think of. News-wise.
Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to fly through the FP1s because there was some interesting bits, but hopefully I caught them anyway. Right. You ready?
Sure.
Right. Okay. FP1. We had Verstappen continue his love affair with spinning and the barriers by dropping it in, I think it was turn 10. I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't really matter what turn it was. He ended up clouting the barriers with an hour to go of the session, thus losing all of that running. Kimi also had a problem which led on to FP2, and that was a possible suspension fault. He needed his gearbox removed, and both Kimi and Verstappen were late out onto the track, so they lost quite a bit of time and running in the FPs on the Friday. And Verstappen was on his first flying lap out, he ruined his tyres with a massive lockup. So it's not going very well for him so far.
I have thoughts on young Max, which I will get to at the appropriate juncture.
I was going to say, but I'm sure we have some discussion to do with him later on. FP3, Kimi lost more time on track with a problem possibly in exhaust, so he was late out again. Sergei Sorokin brought out the red flags around about 8 minutes to go after hitting the wall, and Hulkenberg had a problem with a gearbox problem, which I think moved over into Q1. I think he got out on that, though. So, right, I'm going to dive into the qualifying very briefly.
Okay.
Grosjean had a gearbox problem on his first lap.
He did. He went off into one of the runoff areas and then seemed to stick it in reverse and then break something.
Yeah, something went clunk, didn't it? And so that was it. He was out. He was plumb last. So, right, hang on. I haven't actually got them up. It doesn't matter. The Toro Rosso boys nearly had a huge accident. Now, this was a massive talking point.
Oh, this was a and clench moment.
How did Gasly not take off in this situation? What happened? what happened to Hartley, and why wasn't Gasly flying across into Italy somewhere?
Well, from what I understand, Hartley brushed a wall and had a puncture, and he was trying to understand what had happened and was kind of in his own little world.
Yeah.
Drifting down the middle of the track. Gasly was coming up at a bajillion miles an hour behind him. Hartley suddenly sees him in his mirrors, panics, and because he's in the middle of the road, doesn't really know which way Gasly's going to go. So he starts to go to the right, and then realizes that's the way Gasly's going, so immediately turns to the left. And Gasly kind of locks up, and that was just yo.
Yeah, Gasly's left front almost touched Hartley's right rear, didn't it? And I feel if they had come into contact, you would have had a Toro Rosso flying. You would have easily had a Toro Rosso flying. The closing speed on that was ridiculous. It was, at least 200 mile an hour? Well, not 200 mile an hour, 150 mile an hour, the closing speed on that.
A closing speed was even more than that, but it was it was pretty terrifying.
Yeah. So Hartley apologised. He held up his hands. He shouldn't have been in the middle of the track. If he'd brushed the wall, you get over and you stay out the way as much as you can.
Well, I think he literally had just brushed it. It wasn't like he was cruising around at that. And I also think, it speaks to his inexperience. He's only been in the, Formula One for, half a season at this point?
Yeah.
In LMP1 and stuff like that, when they're doing and everything like that, they always have the lights flashing and everything. I don't know if procedures were different for there as opposed to here. I do think there was a little bit of mind games from Gasly, like hammering it in a bit more to assert his dominance a little bit.
Yeah, that could be a thing. I also think it scared the shit out of him as well.
Scared the shit out of both of them.
Yeah, I imagine he took a bite out of his seat. But yeah, no harm, no foul, I do believe some of the kids say nowadays. So there wasn't a collision. And Gasly, did he continue in that? No, he was out. He
was out because of that, because, Yeah.
Magnussen had some bodywork fly off, but we didn't see any more about that. We didn't see what part of the bodywork it was. It looked like it was over the gearbox part, but whether it was or not, I do not know. And Stroll squeezed through on his last lap. So we lost Romain Grosjean, Brendan Hartley, Marcus Ericsson, and Pierre Gasly, and Stoffel Van Dorn as well, out of Q1. So, Q2, Kimi Raikkonen went deep at turn 3, tried to spin it, and then ended up wedging himself against the wall. Genius. There was a lot of this, people running wide and then trying to spin it round. You had some cautious drivers where they engaged the reverse gear, and then you had the courageous drivers where they wanted to spin it round in the tightest place possible. And
it was funny how you could tell the old hands from the newbies.
Kind of, yes.
Because the old hands would just go in there, they'd spin it around and go off.
Yeah.
Whereas the newbies were like, how am I looking? Am I okay?
Beep, beep, beep.
Beep, 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 beep. Like you got someone behind him, like, you're all right.
Yeah. Well, that situation with Kimi brought out some yellows, which put pressure on him for the rest of his session, because I think once he got going, he was then called into the weighbridge, which screwed everything else up. He then went on to ultras, and he set the fastest time. So he did all right out of that at some point. But yeah, it was nip and tuck at one point. But him going on to the ultras to get a time in meant that he had to start on the ultras. So the Ferraris were kind of hedging their bets on both cars, really. So in that session, we lost Magnussen, Leclerc, Alonso, Sorokin, and Stroll. So both Williams went out there, nearly making it through into the Q3, but not quite.
Yes.
And in Q3, we had Vettel going fastest on his first stint. The second stint, Kimi went purple in the first two sectors. And I thought that he was going to get this pole position, but then he ended up having a tank slapper on the last proper corner. And
that was a bit scary for him, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, him going purple, I thought, oh, do you know what? He's actually going to do it. He's bloody going to do it. And then he ended up dropping it. I was like, oh, balls. So, no, he didn't end up taking the pole position. So the pole position did go to Sebastian Vettel. Lewis Hamilton was second. Valtteri Bottas was third. Daniel Ricciardo was fourth. Max Verstappen fifth. Kimi Raikkonen sixth. Esteban Ocon seventh. Sergio Perez eighth. Nico Hülkenberg ninth. And Carlos Sainz in 10th position. Were there any changes into the actual starting grid at all?
Hülkenberg had a penalty, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah, he had a 5-place penalty for an unscheduled gearbox change.
Oh, that's right.
So he ended up starting 14th.
Yep.
As opposed to 9. And Hartley and Grosjean didn't actually set a time within 107%. So they raced at the steward's discretion.
No.
And Grosjean also had a 5-place penalty for an unscheduled gearbox change. But he was already at the back, so meh.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Nope. No one gives any fucks to that.
No, look at my field. See, it is barren.
Yes, such a barren field.
Okay.
I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything I had in qualifying.
Okay, right. Should we get into the race then?
Before we get into the race,
Yes.
the grid walk.
Okay, go on.
It's fucking hilarious.
Right, I'm going to have to watch that.
Did you see it?
Right, I watched everything up until the grid walk before I had to leave to go football.
All right.
And then
so
once I got back, I just turned on the race, or the very last 2-minute build up to the race.
All right. So basically, Rundle wasn't here this week. He was off. I don't know, something about his daughter's birthday. Rank amateurs at this point. Anyway, he wasn't here. So doing the grid walk, they had Paul di Resta and who leads the Sky commentary?
Crofty.
Not Crofty, not the commentary. Who's the presenter? Lazenby.
Yep.
Di Resta and Lazenby were doing the grid walk, but they only had one cameraman. So they were going off in different directions getting people. And the cameraman had to run between both of them. And it's the funniest thing ever. Because, all of a sudden, Di Resta would start speaking to Niki Lauda and he'd have to peg it down to where they were.
Yeah.
And then you've got Lazenby starts speaking to Hülkenberg, and he's got to peg it up there and arrives just as he finishes talking. And then Di Resta's talking to someone else, and he's got to peg it back again. It was the funniest thing ever. I want that from now on. I'm saying we have 2 people doing the grid walk, but only 1 cameraman. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that now.
Yeah, it was great. It was really funny. And I think Ricciardo told Lazenby if he interrupted him, he was going to sucker punch him in the gut.
Oh man, okay, right. I've still got that on my hard drive, so yeah, I might give that a watch.
Yeah, that was good fun. So I did enjoy that.
Cool. Also, going to the grid as well. Did Kimi hit the wall?
I don't know. I didn't actually see that or pay enough attention to it.
As I understand, he brushed the wall going to the grid. Now, I don't think it was too bad. Obviously, it wasn't too bad, but yeah, that was worrying at some point. So, yeah. Okay. So, how do you want to do this race?
Wow.
Because there's a lot.
There's a lot. I think let's talk about the start, the opening laps, opening safety car bit, and then after that, then we can just kind of cherry pick bits and pieces around that because,
Okay. Right. Yeah. Get the early doors stuff out of the way. Okay. Right. So the start then. So we had Sebastian Vettel on pole position with Lewis Hamilton lining up next to him. Yeah. And initially it wasn't a bad getaway, was it? From anyone. There was no stallers because I'd watched the the F2 races as well, and there were a lot of stallers on them grids.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I was kind of expecting something like that at some point. But no, everyone got away clean. And then corner 2 happened, didn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. Corner 2, and it all just... It was like someone just flicked the dominoes and it just went tink all the way down.
Yeah.
I've got no idea. The first one I think we saw was Ocon going into Raikkonen.
No, that was after. That was turn 3.
Yeah, but I think that was the first one we saw.
Oh, okay, you're right. Okay, yeah.
Because again, I made my notes as it was occurring here, so it's entirely possible. Anyway,
Okay, let's talk about that one then. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, basically at that point, didn't realise, but there'd already been contact between Ocon and another person, I believe.
Yep.
But basically, going around that corner, it was Kimi was, coming up the inside effectively, going into turn 3. Ocon did not leave a car's width, so Kimi, and he was slightly ahead. Ocon was slightly ahead, but effectively squeezed Kimi. They collided, and that pushed Ocon into the wall, because then you saw the Williams with one wheel pulling in behind him, and it was like, oh, something else had happened further down.
That's right.
But, yeah. But it was that. So yeah, I personally put the blame on that one fairly squarely on Ocon, because didn't leave a car's width.
Yeah, I think I'm in that zone as well. We saw lots of people throughout this race going side by side around corners, didn't we? Without touching, and they could easily do it. And I think Ocon I think he was expecting him to get out of it. I think he knew he was there. Well, I think you have to expect someone to be there, especially on a street course, 90-degree corners, and it's the first lap of on the race. So
he would have known Kimi was coming, because going up that straight, well, a bit between turns 2 and 3, you have Mills at that point. Yeah. Kimi's positioned himself on the inside. It don't take a genius to figure out that's probably where he is.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think people were trying to get onto Kimi's case about this, but he was well alongside him. I wouldn't say he was in front of Ocon at all. His front wheels were behind his wheels, but
Ocon was ahead, absolutely. But Ocon did not give a car's width. So I don't think Kimi could have really gotten out of it as such, because by that point he was kind of in that gap between the two wheels.
Yeah.
So I think if he'd have gone off of it, all that would have happened was Ocon's rear wheels would have taken out his wing or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think Ocon should have been further over, basically.
Yeah.
And then you had the Force India team manager saying, I don't know what Kimi was thinking. I don't think Kimi knows what he was thinking. It's like, oh, fair play, son. I don't think that was entirely fair.
Heat of the battle. Let's put that down to that.
And that's what they went with. They went as a racing incident.
Yeah.
The thing back at turn 2, I think it was it a Renault or a Haas touched Sirotkin?
It was a Renault. I think it was Hulkenberg.
It was a Renault. I think it was Hulkenberg, who then collided with Alonso.
Yep.
Which then led to Alonso, again, through sheer force of personality, dragging a McLaren around with only 2 wheels on it. I mean,
yeah,
two wheels on his wagon, and he brought that thing home.
Yeah, the Williams was kind of pushed into him, wasn't he? And
yeah, I mean, it wasn't Sirotkin's fault at all.
No, and the McLaren of Alonso did go over his front wheel, kind of destroy that, and his front wing along with it. But it did cut the tyres on both his right-hand side of his car. And I didn't realise he'd done the rear one until he actually got into the pits and couldn't really make the turn inside the pit lane.
Yeah, and they were saying it could be interesting seeing how he's going to get into the pit box.
He nearly wiped it out. Coming into the pit lane. And it was very gingery going into the pit box.
It was. Although then you had Ted reporting that he's been told to retire the car because of floor damage.
Yeah.
And Alonso's reaction was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm good."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I can muscle this around. And I think he had the right idea about it as well, because, well, I'm not giving anything away where he finished, but he has that tenacity to force his way around, and he's done enough races to know that last year's race was bonkers.
Yeah.
And so it's more than likely, after turn 1 with a safety car already, this race is going to be bonkers as well. So there's going to be a lot of attrition. So why not just go for it? You don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that was probably, again, sheer force of bloody mindedness. He was just like, nope.
Yeah. I think in turn you also had the Saubers hitting each other. It wasn't really caught on camera, though.
It was, again, it was just so much going on. And there was so much in that first lap, but it was just hard to kind of keep track of everything. But yeah, it was that first 3 corners, basically, it all kicked off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking there, because I seem to recall a certain individual was like, there'll be no safety cars at Azerbaijan.
We'll get into that later.
I know, but I might have been sitting there going, booyah! So yeah, that was fun. I mean, I'm just watching the race again on the highlights because, yay, for Liberty Media, we now have highlights on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like you had a Force India losing. There was debris basically, and that was kind of the first hint. There was debris flying up in the background, and it was only then you started getting a sense of, oh wait, no, there's shit happening in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the Sorokin, Alonso, Kimi and Ocon thing were the major things that came out of that.
Yeah.
And that forced Kimi into pitting anyway, so he went on to the yellow stripe tyres, didn't he? The softs.
Yes. Again, because of his shitty quali, his strategy was kind of compromised. They were trying to avoid the hyper softs like the plague.
Yep.
So he'd had to start on the hyper softs because he was worried he wouldn't make it through into Q3 otherwise because of his messy thing. But now he was able to get onto the softs and in theory go to full race distance on those.
I think that was the idea of it, wasn't it?
At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, again, I'm pretty sure they knew that there was a reasonable chance of more safety cars coming.
Yeah. Okay, so how many laps did we have the safety car out for this time round? Because I counted 4. I
think... You know what I need to do? I need to go to the Autosport Live thing. Okay. Here's a pro tip for anyone who ever wants to look up on these sort of things. They have the live text streams of all the races there, which you can look at afterwards. And it'll tell you when things like safety cars went in and everything. Okay,
because I'm sure it was lap 1, the safety car came out, and lap 5, it went back in. I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure.
That probably sounds about right.
Yeah. But that leads us up to a restart as well, because I wasn't expecting that restart, because we had Vettel out front, as we expected, and he was really closing everything up. Now, there was talk of him stopping and starting, brake testing, etc. The stuff that he was moaning about Hamilton doing last year.
Well, that was the thing. We were all worried about, are we going to have a repeat performance, but the other way around, you know? And I do think that Hamilton was being extra aware to avoid that happening.
Yeah. Right. So do you reckon he was brake testing anyone? Or was it a case of blipping the throttle?
It was blipping the throttle and stuff like that, I guess. But I don't know. I think as fun as they are to watch, I think you're putting too much power into the hands of the lead driver at that point.
Yeah. Do you not think he's earned that?
No. He happens to be in the lead at that point. He hasn't earned diddly squat. I think a fairer way to do it might be some sort of VSC when the safety car goes in.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. So the VSC takes control of the race until the safety car goes in, and then at any point that can be turned off.
I think it would be a case of they say safety cars in at this lap. At that point, they go onto a VSC mode where they have a set delta.
Yeah.
So at that point, the cars are, where they are effectively, and it doesn't even have to be all of the cars. It could be the first car has a VSC time he has to stick to, and he has to race at that pace, and it's a steady, it's like set pace effectively or what have you. And when the safety car is far enough ahead that they can race, boom.
Okay, turn it off and away you go.
Away you go.
Right. Okay.
Again, it is entertaining watching the whole. Is he? Isn't he? Is he? Isn't he? Is he? Isn't he? But at least twice on that first restart, I thought there was going to be an accident because he was going so slowly, and you had Hamilton coming up alongside him and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, okay, right. It's the same with the Olympic Games, right? I think there should be Olympic Games with no drugs, and I think there should be Olympic Games with drugs. And the people that want to go clean, they stay clean. There's no drugs. You get caught doing drugs, you're out forever, never coming back. But then the people that want to use drugs and enhance stuff, you go for it, and we'll have a Special Olympics for that as well. And
we will call it the Ivan Drago Games.
I'm of the opinion on this. Either downright outlaw the blip in the throttle, you have to coast until you want to put your foot down. Or you just do the stop-start stuff. You allow it. Because they need to draw a line. They need to sort that out. Because there's a big grey area in which Vettel seems to operate in. That's what I got from this race today.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they should clarify that and just black and white it up a little bit instead of the big grey area that he's in at the moment. So, although I didn't think it was too bad what he did, no,
not at all. And I don't think it was too bad. And again, it is very entertaining. So, since primarily I think this is meant to be entertainment, then that's fine. I'm just saying that there's probably fairer ways to deal with it, but I'm not saying there are better ways.
Yeah.
Important distinction to make.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So after that, where do you want to go? Because
I'd say, after that, forget trying to go for this race in any kind of order. I think let's just talk about maybe teams.
Okay.
Let's talk about Red Bull, shall we?
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Well, it was a rather entertaining race from Red Bull, wasn't it?
They put on a bloody good show, I felt.
It was. I was loving watching that. But as I think I said earlier, I have some thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just lay out my biases at the front. Just so, and I know Lee Harvey, who will be listening to this, did he send feedback in?
He didn't send an email, but he did message me.
Okay.
So
anyway.
I can always read that out if you want. I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
I don't know or care. But basically, he did mention that he was getting a bit sick of all the Ricciardo love on Twitter. Well, sign me up as Ricciardo fanboy number one. I think he is one of the best drivers on the grid today.
Okay.
After today, I think Jos Verstappen is like Jolyon Palmer, but with talent. There is arrogance and entitlement there. And it kept flashing back to the pit garage, and he had his dad, Jos Verstappen, watching.
Yeah.
Are people under the impression that he was a world champion or something? Because the only reason I remember him full stop is he once caught fire in a pit box.
He had 2 podiums.
Well, there you go, then.
He's 2 more than me. But yeah,
and me.
He's just 2 podiums.
But my point is, it was cutting to him, and he was just there like some imperious emperor, just like lording over it there.
He needs his own music, doesn't he?
He does, an imperial march. But anyway, look, Max Verstappen is an exciting driver to watch, but he is the villain, and that's not a bad thing, because when you think of, and I'm quoting here, the villains of Formula One, Ayrton Senna was the villain for a long time. Sebastian Vettel was the villain for a while. Schumacher was definitely the villain. Villains win.
Yeah.
But you know what else villains are? They're fucking cunts. and the thing with Verstappen here is there's this, like I said, a sense of entitlement. Like, I am the one who is entitled to be here. I am the one who is entitled to be in front.
I'm the chosen one.
I am the chosen one, yes, and we saw this several times where, Ricciardo is for better or worse, he's a straight arrow, plays within the rules, and he is damn good within those rules. But he's a nice guy. He's the good guy. He is, if you will, the Luke Skywalker of the analogy. Verstappen is more your Vader here. And Luke is there, plucky upstart with his lightsaber, ready to take him on, while Vader is just throwing shit at him. Because it doesn't matter, It's that sort of thing. So you have, Verstappen, Ricciardo lines it up. He dives down the inside, Then Verstappen just overcooks it, bounces the wheels off of him, and retakes the place, and that's it.
Yeah.
There was at least a couple of times there. Verstappen wasn't leaving enough space. But Verstappen's very much, and I think he's cultivated this persona deliberately, of I will take us both out. If you want to take that chance and try and pass me, by all means. But I'm either going to win or I'm going to crash.
Yeah.
There ain't no middle ground here with me. And I think that is what was giving Ricciardo pause. Then when he finally got past him, I was just like, fuck yes, go on my son. Because it was a great pass. It was a really good pass.
Yeah.
And, again, I love listening to Verstappen whine on the radio. I mean, I don't like listening to it because it's annoying, but, it does make me chuckle a little bit because he sounds like a 17-year-old who's, even though he's not 17 anymore, but, it's that kind of whining, why isn't the battery charging?
Yeah. Sort
of thing, there's no real patience in there. So, he came out of the pits ahead and everything. And then they had this great battle all the way through. Verstappen being this very kind of like, I must be ahead, I must be ahead, I must be ahead. Ricciardo playing the long game. He knows he only has to be in the lead for one lap, the last one.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter otherwise. But, line it up and do this. They're coming down towards the end of the pit straight into turn one. And, Ricciardo's faster. He's saved up his battery. He's got the DRS open and his tyres are in better shape because they're heated up now. He goes to throw it to the right. Verstappen moves to the right to cover. He's been thrown the dummy now. Rule says you can only move once.
No, they don't anymore.
I thought rules said you could only move once.
No, they removed it.
Right.
They called it the Verstappen rule.
Yes, because someone kept moving.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so he did that. At that point, Ricciardo went the other way, threw him a dummy. Ricciardo moved across and critically again did not leave a car's width. There was nowhere for Ricciardo to go. And the second he cut across, all that downforce over the front wing went away.
Yeah.
All that great braking potential went away. There was only one place Ricciardo was going, and that was into the back of his fucking car.
Yeah.
So I know that Red Bull spitting feathers and blaming both the drivers, and the FIA have reprimanded both of the drivers. But no, mate, I'm putting that one squarely on Verstappen.
Right, okay. Can I tell you my view of it?
Of course.
Okay, well, I sat down with my boy and we watched this. And we saw the bouncy of these two guys, and I thought their earlier battles were very good. It wasn't a battle for the lead. It was a battle for who gets to pit first, and then has the chance to take the fight to the other teams later on, because they were going to try and do the China thing again.
Yeah,
and that's what my opinion of it was. They were battling for who gets dibs on who comes into the pit first, who gets the tyres first, and then who gets to battle first. And Verstappen did do Ricciardo early doors. He got in front of him, and that's where he stayed. And there were a couple of times where it got very close, and I said to my boy, this is going to end up maybe one of them out, maybe both of them out. I don't think you'd end up with both of them out, but yeah, they're going to end up touching. And when they did touch, I thought, okay, that is it. They've touched. I don't think that's going to happen again. And I think maybe the villain in this is Red Bull itself. They could have called that shot. I'm not saying Ricciardo was mightily faster than Max Verstappen, because once he got past him, Max kept with him. So there wasn't a faster driver on the day. But I feel that Red Bull should have turned around and said, look guys, you've had your battle. Now wait until the pit stops, and then we'll try and sort stuff out. And Daniel got the jump on Max. He got the position to get the first pit stop. But that didn't work. if anything, that worked in Max's favour. So he got the overcut, as they call it nowadays. And so when he pitted, he ended up in front of Ricciardo again, which mightily peed off Ricciardo because he went for it again. And once he got his tyres up to speed, he was dropping in fastest lap after fastest lap. And he was clearly faster than Max at some point. But that was down to the DRS and the toe as well. But the incident you saw coming a mile off, I feel. And with Max, he is always going to move and defend someone trying to throw the dummy. And it kind of null and voids all that fun that we've had in history past where someone throws a dummy, they fall for it, and they swing by on the outside or the inside. All that history is now gone because now Max is doing what Max wants to do. And it is ruining people's races. We had a really good thing happening here. And I'm disappointed to see it end like that. I'm disappointed for Max because he doesn't need that. He's had a terrible start to the season. He hasn't got very many points on the board. And it's not looking good for him. I'm disappointed for Ricciardo because he won a race. He was on a kind of roll, looking really creative in this. And with new boots on, how far he would have got up, we don't know. Possibly up onto the podium, I don't know. Maybe even further. But I don't want to drop all the blame on Max. I think the move and the collision is down to Max. But the situation is down to both of them butting heads. And not sitting back and realising, okay, this is going to continue until we break down. Because there has to be a time where they turn around and go, we're not going to finish this race. We are going to just keep doing this until we bash into each other. And that's what's happened today. So I
wonder if it's a case of what Red Bull will have to do is, was it Mercedes used to have you can race until the second pit stop and then you just hold station?
I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear it either. But the evidence seems to suggest something has to be done. I mean, again, and I know I'm projecting my own biases on here. I'm holding my hands up to that. But it does feel to me that Ricciardo is much more of a team player than Max is, as in, I think Max is racing for himself and Ricciardo is racing for the team. Yeah. And yes, Ricciardo wants to win for himself, absolutely. But I think if you were to turn around to both of them and say, you have to let the other one stay ahead. Yeah. I think if Ricciardo was behind, he'd respect it.
Yeah.
And I think if Max was behind, he'd be like, fuck it.
Yeah,
and that's probably why Max. That's probably why Max will become a multiple world champion, and that's probably why he will be lauded as a great. I'm not denying that. Yeah. But as I said before, he's still the villain. He's still a massive cunt.
Okay. I blame Max for the move because there was a gap, and Ricciardo would have made that gap, and he moved into a position where Ricciardo had nowhere else to go. So I feel that Max created that accident. Ricciardo had nowhere else to go, so he couldn't then jinx back again because I think he would have been launched over his rear wheel. In this case, he hit him squarely on the bottom, didn't he? Yes. And it's exciting to watch. I think it's absolutely. So I mean, entertaining.
Nothing else. It gave us that second safety car period and that ending. So, the only gutting bit for me was, like I said, those were the two cars involved.
But did you not see this happening all the way through the race, though? It was a case of these guys aren't going to finish.
No, I knew they were going to come together. I was just hoping that Ricciardo would be able to continue.
Right, okay. Okay, so I take it you're not a massive Max fan, then?
I'm a...
Or is that Wayne?
No. He is... I am a fan, but he is the villain.
Right.
And because he's the villain, I will boo at him. But I still enjoy having him there.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You understand where I'm coming from with that? But that's it. He's the villain. He is the Schumacher. He's the Vettel. He is the Alonso back in 2007. You remember that?
Yeah.
He's the villain. And fair play Formula One needs good villains, and that's just who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So when he wins, I will shake my fist and go, grr. I want him there. I do want him there. I want him to keep doing what he's doing. I don't want him to take out Ricciardo, but I want that still. But he is the villain. He's the bad guy, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. See, in the message, I hope Lee doesn't mind me reading this out, but he does say if it was the other way round, nobody would even be talking about it. If it was the other way round, I don't think Ricciardo would have moved once and then left enough room on the left-hand side for Max to find a hole. And he did that earlier on, where he overtook Max around the outside and then Max stuck it up the inside onto turn 2 and he let him through. Because he had no other way, anywhere else to go, did he?
No.
So, I don't know, it's... Red Bull have turned around and said it's a racing incident. And they're kind of... That's their joint press release, really, isn't it? They've kind of gone into close quarters, talked about it, probably thrown some Red Bull cans around the area, and then come back out and said their piece. We are at one. We are speaking that they're going to apologise to everyone individually. So,
I mean, you've got to remember as well, this is off the back of China, where we had Verstappen again colliding.
Yeah.
These things don't happen in a vacuum. You look at the respective things, and there's been multiple instances where Max has caused collisions. And, for the first year or two, you kind of gloss over it. They're young, they're inexperienced, they're still learning.
Yeah, in Toro Rosso days.
Well, yeah, but you get to a point where you kind of have to stop using that excuse.
Yeah.
And again, just to Lee's point about, if the situation was reversed. Well, frankly, if the situation was reversed, we probably would still be talking about it because, and I say this with all respect to both Lee and to the drivers and everything like that, I can't picture Ricciardo doing what Max did.
No.
Ricciardo just wouldn't defend in that way. And if there was a collision at that point, it would have been most likely at Max's instigation.
Yeah.
It would have been. I mean, the only way I could, if the situation was reversed, the only way I could see it happening would be what we saw earlier, where Max throws it up the inside, and there would have been a car's width there for him to do it, but he locks that wheel and ends up going into them because he overcooked it.
Mm.
That's kind of what I see. I think Ricciardo will always leave the car's width there.
Yeah, he plays by the rules, and Max.
He plays by the rules, and he trusts other drivers probably a lot more than they deserve. I mean, if you think back to China again, that pass on Bottas.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a Hail Mary pass, and you I tell you what, if Verstappen was there instead of Bottas, they'd have probably collected each other at that point.
Most probably.
But he trusted Bottas would give him the space.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted with this because I want to see people going for the gap. We all want to see that. Every now and again, you don't mind a bump and a big crash like this. It's exciting. It gives you something to talk about, and it brings other people into it that might not normally come in and watch Formula One. I was jumping up and down and shouting all over the place when this was happening, mm-hmm. and it wasn't even live for me, and yet I was really enjoying it. And we need that kind of flavour in this sport, and I think this year is turning out to be not. I'm not going to say it's a classic year. No, not yet. It's too early for that, but it's building up to be a very, very good year.
Yeah, I mean, kind of despite all the problems, finger quoting again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the races thus far, with the exception of Australia.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was just again another spectacular race. This was just so much fun. I mean, again, just even earlier in this, you had the Renaults really fighting for Red Bulls. Again, unexpected. And that's what was delightful. It was unexpected. We didn't expect to see that there. And then you had Sainz and Hülkenberg kind of get by the Red Bulls. And then you had Hulk clip the wall and, his suspension went. And there was just so much going on. So, yeah, that was tons of fun.
Oh, my heart broke for him then because he'd done all the hard part, but getting past both the Red Bulls. and then to drop it into the wall was...
Yeah.
He lost it under braking, didn't he? And then kind of sideswiped the wall on his left-hand side. It was just, oh, no. But, okay, like, I know other people are going to be banging on about the Red Bull situation, but do you think that it could have been cleared up with maybe a message from Horner or someone saying, look, guys, mate, just a gentle reminder not to hit each other.
Well,
especially after Max hit Ricciardo in the first instance.
But that's the point. Apparently they did send that message.
Oh, they did?
They sent that message after the first wheel touch.
Right, okay.
And that's what I think was probably more galling than anything else, that they'd already been warned once.
Yeah. Because they're coming across... What Horner was saying is that they're kind of fighting for themselves and they need to be fighting for the team. And
well, yeah, it's a team sport first and foremost, which is always the fallback. I mean, I'm all of it. Look, if you're going to pull that it's a team sport bullshit, designate first driver and second driver. I just think that's the only way you can do it. If you don't have that, then it's every man for themselves.
Yeah,
it just is. It's the drivers. If the driver thinks they are the number one, or believes they should be the number one, they're driving for themselves, and they will think the other guy should acquiesce to them. If you designate, I mean, and I think that's probably why Ferrari are where they are. Kimi knows whoever he is. Kimi don't care. Let me tell you, Kimi is a massive farmer, and a field full of fucks. Fortunately, it's pretty bad at the minute because he's out of them. He has no fucks to give at all.
He's already cropped them.
Yeah. Do you follow his Instagram, by the way?
I do every now and again.
It's the best thing ever. But still, yeah, Kimi's literally there because he's being paid millions to drive a Ferrari.
Yeah.
He don't care about anything else. And he's still like, he got into second and all that, and that's great. But yeah, Kimi ain't got no fucks to give. And that's why there's relative harmony in Ferrari. And I think to a certain extent in Mercedes as well, Bottas isn't quite on Lewis's level.
Yeah.
But, Red Bull, they have a very exciting and dynamic pairing. And there's nothing going to give you a bigger... I mean, I think Christian Horner was having flashbacks to Vettel and Webber,
Yeah, well, my son turned around and said, what happens if it does happen like that? Because it was Turkey where they touched and went spinning out. And, yeah, it did bring back memories of that happening as well. But this is also reminiscent of what happened with Force India last year, where they were sharing the same tarmac all season long, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I want this to continue all season, but is this the kind of thing that will send Daniel somewhere else to a different team?
It depends on what happens next.
Because Max isn't going to give any quarter. Granted, Daniel doesn't give any quarter, but in a fair way. I'm not saying Max is not fair, though. But Max has kind of his own rules. He has the Verstappen rule as well, remember? Yeah.
I mean, they signed Max without consulting Ricciardo. I think the only thing that's going to drive Ricciardo away is if he doesn't feel he's being treated fairly and if he doesn't feel like he's being respected.
Right. Okay. Do you think he's getting that at the moment?
I think the problem with Red Bull... Okay. I've got a tinfoil hat I'm going to put on now. I think Dieter Matrix wants out of Formula One. I don't think that's really news to anyone. Apparently, he's kind of been wavering on interest for a while.
Okay.
Spends a lot of money on the thing, probably wants out. I think he's trying to position to offload the team to someone like Aston Martin or whoever. If he goes, Helmut Marko goes as well.
Yeah.
If Helmut Marko goes as well, Verstappen loses his top cover. Because I think if it's down to Christian Horner and to Adrian Newey, they'd rather have Ricciardo. They're both very fast drivers, Max and Ricciardo. But I think Ricciardo's easier to work with.
Yeah.
Certainly easier on the repair bill budget.
Yeah.
So I think there's a war perhaps between Helmut Marko and Christian to an extent. Because that's the thing. Christian's team manager, but he always seems a bit subservient to Helmut Marko.
Yeah.
So my money is Ricciardo's probably trying to wait for a bit of clarity on that front. Also, there was a rumour going around that apparently Ferrari has first refusal on Ricciardo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've been hearing a couple of rumours.
It might be
similar to
again
that,
the whole, does Vettel have any kind of pull or say in that whatsoever?
Would Vettel want him as a teammate again? Because I know Daniel had a really good 2014 and Sebastian didn't. So I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to keep my tinfoil hat on for just a second. I could see Lewis retiring at the end of this season.
Do you reckon he'll win and then pull the rug out again like Nico did?
Possibly. I think I do feel like Lewis might be tired.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that kind of, not giving his all. I just think he's been doing this for 10 years now?
Oh, yeah.
11 years even. 2007 was his first year.
Yeah.
11 years. I think if he wins 5, he'll probably say, yeah, I'll do. Good with that.
Well, he's won nearly half of his seasons there, hasn't he?
Exactly, yeah. So again, if it's a case of Mercedes with Bottas, who do they want to pair with Bottas? I mean, Bottas is pretty easy going, will pretty much work with anyone. You're telling me you wouldn't want Ricciardo in that other Mercedes?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. See, now you're talking about Lewis and chucking it in. I couldn't see Nico doing that last year. 2 years ago. But Hamilton, the way that he is in interviews, it's very, I'm only speaking to you because I need to speak to you. I've been told to speak to you. And that's the way it comes across.
Well, Hamilton.
Yeah.
He always feels, like every time he gets out of a car, so Lewis, how was that thing? Well, first of all, what a fantastic crowd we've got here. You guys are amazing. We love you. Yay.
Mm.
He's almost like a politician, really. He's got a script that he always sticks to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I mean, getting all the way back to Red Bull, I suppose. I think Ricciardo's waiting to see what's the state of Formula One at the summer break before he makes any decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to believe his management speaking to Mercedes, speaking to Ferrari, speaking to everyone else or whoever. And I mean, again, if Red Bull, because again, Renault have basically told Red Bull they've got to decide by the summer, is it, if they're going to keep them or not?
Yeah, that's right.
So again, I mean, would you put a Honda in the back of a Red Bull right now?
Well, there's a lot of things coming towards the end of their life, really, aren't there?
There is. And it might just be Ricciardo just feels that as long as it's a Red Bull team with Helmut Marko in there, he's never going to be treated as fair as Max. So
right.
Who can say? Who can say?
Okay. Well, that collision between the two Red Bulls, the implosion of the two Red Bulls. By the way, I did like the way that they just went off in different directions. Although I was kind of disappointed they did that as well. I was hoping there was going to be a bit of finger wagging.
Bit of fisticuffs.
Well, yeah.
I was expecting to see Verstappen tapping the side of his head, implying that Ricciardo was crazy.
Yes, we've all seen that, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
But that brought out another safety car, which was out for quite a while. And
it was out for a while, and it tightened everything up quite nicely. Everyone dived into the pits. I mean, Bottas. I think he was, because he was slowing down on the pit straight before the pit entry, because I think Mercedes told him to slow down because he'd stretched out his run quite a bit.
Yeah.
And apparently they were saying he probably could have gone to the end on those tyres. He was still setting fastest laps at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, unlike last time, Mercedes got the strategy spot on, pulled him into the pits, got some hyper softs on him, and he was away.
Well, yeah, he was really slow going into the pits, wasn't he? Then when he hit the pit lane itself, then he could speed up and go into there. So I think there was a bit of a optical illusion with that as well, because obviously once the safety car comes out, you have to hit deltas, don't you?
Yeah.
But last time out in China, he kind of fell foul of that and didn't really end up going into the pits, whereas this time he was kind of in the right place at the right time. And he pitted, got some new boots on, as did everyone else as well. Both Ferraris went in and got new boots on.
I think everyone pitted it felt like.
Well, they brought the safety car through the pit lane, so it was kind of, why not? We're already here anyway, so we might as well. Because there was so much debris at the end of the going into turn one, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. It was almost like two Red Bulls had collided there.
No, there was a lot of stuff strewn across that track.
As Bottas was to find just a few laps later.
Right, okay, I've got questions about that, but we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that, yeah.
Because there's one certain Frenchman that decided, well, do you know what? I know there's a safety car, but sod it, I want to go home. And he just abruptly turned right into the wall. This is Grosjean. And he was behind the safety car, warming up his tyres.
On his own. We need to emphasise this point. His own.
With no Ericsson around him.
No one around him at all.
No.
And he drops it into the wall. I think he's currently saying he flicked switch or something and changed. I'm sure it's the same engine mode that Verstappen had on in Bahrain.
The 160 odd horsepower button.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that switch. And he drops it, and then the team come over and go, "What happened? What happened?" And he's quiet for a minute. He goes, "I think Ericsson hit us." It's just like, nope. It's like, no. You know they have cameras everywhere. You idiot. What are you playing at? And then he gets back and he throws his gloves at a mechanic. It's like, come on, Grosjean.
Yeah.
Come on, you're better than that.
That was funny. That was so funny. Okay, first instance, he said that maybe Ericsson hit him. Okay, Ericsson was nowhere near. I think I was closer to him than Ericsson was at some points. So that was not a thing. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, saying that, maybe something broke on the car, because it did kind of snap away quite quickly. But no, I think he just dropped it.
He just drops it.
Yeah. And you're right in saying that he turned around and said he hit a switch or a button or something and put him in a different mode. Okay, should we just turn around and say, yeah, he did that just for shits and giggles?
He's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah. So he screwed up because he hasn't got any points on the board at all. And I think he was in the points at that point.
He was running 5th or 6th, I believe.
Ooh.
And considering he'd started at the back of the grid.
Yes.
You know, he was on for a really good thing. And yeah, I mean, that extended the safety car period, which was longer. And, you know, it had me thinking that they've ruined the race, because I thought the race was about to start and there was maybe 7 or 8 laps left at that point.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is going to get good.
Yeah.
You know, I was really looking forward to that. If I could borrow from your vernacular, it was going to be tasty. But
Up yours. But
then that happened, and it was just like, oh no. Although I will agree with Lewis, I didn't like seeing that truck there. That was, I just didn't. That truck with like the bloody steel girder along the back of it. And I mean,
yeah, that wasn't clever, was it?
I know you got those halos there now, but I'll point out 2 things. One, a halo would not have prevented Jules Bianchi's accident, full stop. And secondly, I feel like it could have come in the other way and backed. I don't know, but it's just Lewis is kind of right. They should have red flagged the race at that point, recovered the car, and I know it would have robbed us, but just from a safety perspective, it just having that truck there was a bit. Yeah.
Personally, I think the truck should have driven past the Haas, pulled up as far as it could against the wall, and then reversed to the Haas to pick it up and put it on the back of the lorry. Because if you're going to have a car snap sideways right, like Grosjean did, then you want it to hit a Formula One car and not a big truck like that.
Well, you know what they need to do? You know when you're going down the motorway, you have those big trucks and they have the crash structure at the back?
Yeah.
With like the it's like a metal crumple zoney sort of thing, and then sometimes some springs and shit like that.
Yep.
Use those.
Yeah.
Not just some bloody Bedford flatbed with a fucking, like I said, a bloody iron girder on the back of the thing.
Yeah, that was an old thing, wasn't it?
That was a properly old.
They all sat around going, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right, we need some trucks. We might need to move cars. Oh, Dave's got some. It's fine. Yeah, we're just getting my mate. Yeah, Scott, he's got some, and so we can get some from him. And he's got a wife that drives them. So yeah, we're quids in. As long as they can see the race, though, that's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Bring them along. Bring the kids along. Bring the cat along so Bernie can hold it as well. So yeah, it wasn't clever. I don't think it was very good parking from the truck driver because he kind of nearly did block the whole road. And even the safety car slowed down to get through that gap. And he was like, no, you should have left a little bit. Maybe a lane free.
Oh, it was funny as well. But it started pulling away as the train was driving along. It's like, what? Do you think you're going to bloody get into the bloody race at this point? You know,
Have a big truck just weaving, warming its
Yeah.
tyres up. But it did pull away, and then it stopped again, as if to say, "Oh, look, there's like a rotisserie on tonight, so should we get some food there?" And then it drove off again, and you're thinking, these laps are counting down, and there was a point where I was thinking, we're only going to get 1 or 2 racing laps under this, aren't we? But luckily enough that they did get it cleared away just in time. And, well, by my calculations, I want to check with you later, but I think there were 7 laps under that yellow, under the safety car that time round.
I think we need to find a definitive answer to that. I would hope that, yeah, if it was 7, that'd be fine with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I do feel they need, we have a dedicated safety car, dedicated medical car. Maybe we need a dedicated truck for picking up cars.
Why not?
Yeah.
Honestly, why not?
Elon Musk, get on it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Maybe a Tesla or something like that. Something big and bulky that has, but nice crumple zones just in case.
Yeah.
Because we don't want any more of that tomfoolery going on. Okay, so that was the second safety car. We had Bottas found himself in the lead after his pit stops. Now, okay, going into this last safety car, what did you think, or who did you think was going to be winning this race?
I thought Bottas was going to win.
Yeah.
I thought Vettel might have a lunge. I mean, if Vettel was able to get ahead, it might work. But I did feel that Bottas had kind of, with that pit stop, had kind of sewn it all up.
Yeah.
I didn't think Lewis was going to bother anyone. Thought Raikkonen might bother Lewis, though.
Oh, Lewis was kind of moaning all the way through the race as well.
It was definitely one of those kind of, don't really want to be here today.
Yeah. Well, okay, be fair to him, the Red Bull guys were moaning as well about no batteries because they were kind of losing battery power on the straight, weren't they?
Well, it's such a long straight, and I just think they were complaining that it was just taking too long to charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, I never in a million years thought that the last 2 laps would play out as they did. Because I mean, first of all, we had Vettel made a lunge. I mean, Bottas did the restart better in my mind than Vettel did. None of that faffing around going as slow as possible to the last minute. He just pegged it. He was gone. And I think Vettel was expecting fun and games and was just caught off the back foot. But he was gone. And then Vettel makes a lunge into the first corner. And, again, we've said about how Bottas didn't make the charge in Bahrain, or maybe he should have done. Well, Vettel took the lunge, locked up his wheel, went too far, flat spotted his brand new tyre. And it was just like, oh, you just kind of fucked yourself, haven't you?
Yeah.
And he went from first to fourth in a corner, effectively.
Yeah. Behind Raikkonen, wasn't it?
Behind Raikkonen, and then Perez in short order got by him.
Yeah.
Which was just amazing. It was just like, oh my God, didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah.
Which was great. And then the next lap, utterly gutting, Bottas ran over some debris, and his tyre instantly deflated.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, again, there was some talk from Mercedes, like, they should have cleared the debris, they had enough safety cars and enough options. But I mean, they're kind of dependent on the drivers to call this stuff out. And I have to believe the drivers hadn't seen it or something.
And the drivers were calling out from the previous incidences anyway.
Yeah, so, I have to assume that had just recently turned up or something.
Right.
And yeah, went over that and it just destroyed his tyre. And it caught him just after the pit lane entry. So that was kind of his race run at that point,
So where did that debris come from? Because it's too far up the straight for it to be involved in the Red Bull incident.
No idea, really. I mean,
because people were saying it was from the Red Bull incident, but it's way too far up there. You're talking 300 metres, maybe even more than that. That he actually caught that.
Well, the debris was at the, like I said, it was before the pit lane entry.
Yeah.
So I've got no idea, really. And again, they were saying it must be metal or something like that because the way it sparked.
Yeah.
If it was carbon fibre, it would have shattered.
Yeah, you saw the force that it went through the tyre in as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't very good at all. So I'm wondering if that's from a previous incident or someone's dragged it around and had a little side swipe and then all of a sudden it's fallen off mid-lap. I don't know, because there's no real retirements through...
I mean, I'm just looking at it here on the highlight video.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit... I mean, it's a tiny bit of debris by the looks of things, and it's quite flat.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, though, it's a city circuit. There's a lot of shit that just finds its way around there. But yeah, it might have just fallen off of one of the cars. Who can say?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just tragic. It is really tragic because Bottas, by right, should have won that race. Did everything right. But hell, that's Formula One at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is what we want to see. We want this unpredictability, where we've got no idea what's going to happen and all that. I mean, it's funny watching Toto Wolff when that happened because he just go, no!
Oh, he did, didn't he?
9!
Yeah. Do you know, I think the incident from Bahrain where Bottas could have had a lunge at Vettel in the closing stages, and maybe he was a bit too far behind for him actually to have a lunge, but that's been spoken about for the last 2 races at least. And yet it's making people, I think it's making people take more risks and more lunges. Because we had Ricciardo doing it in China, Vettel doing it for the lead here as well.
Yeah.
I can't think that's in the back of his mind when he made that lunge. Whereas I think the last year he would have bided his time and waited for the back straight or the long straight and then DRS'd him or got through on a slipstream. And yet with that, there's a gap, so we must all go for it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing because that's what I want to see. I want to see Vettel try that and either make it or screw it up. I don't care if he makes it or screws it up, as long as I'm having a good time watching it. So, yeah, I think Bahrain has a lot to answer for, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I think so too. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for the race, I suppose. I did just want to mention that, well done for Alonso because he didn't retire when people were suggesting he should have done. He got a good haul of points. Mm-hmm. So, well played to him. The Alonso Love Fest will continue.
Yeah, where did he finish? 7th, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was just a fascinating race. I got a couple of post-race things I just mention
Okay.
before we get on to things. Firstly, I don't like this interviewing with drivers the second they step out of the car.
No.
Piss off, DC.
Yep.
Wait until after do the podium and then do the thingies. I like seeing them in the cool-down room and all that. I like that there's an order to things, and I like it. They win the race, adrenaline's high, it's awesome and all that. They get upstairs, can chill. We listening to them having a little private conversations. They do the podium, then interview.
Yep.
Right. Secondly, apparently the reason Lewis was late to the podium is he went and found Bottas and to just console him and say, look, this should have been you, which I like.
Okay, good.
Because I tell you what, never in a billion years would he do that to Rosberg. Ever.
No way.
And that's also kind of fuels fire to my theory that maybe Lewis is thinking of quitting at the end of the season. If he was thinking a long-term challenger, probably be a bit less nice. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah.
And the last thing was just something that happened in the race is there was a DRS issue with the detection zone not working.
Mm-hmm.
So the drivers were being told they had to manually deploy.
Yeah, that was on the back straight, wasn't it?
Yeah. And a few drivers then got caught out because apparently they deployed it at the wrong time or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But nothing was really upheld. I think... Who are the people that got caught by that? Stroll got caught by it and Perez got caught by it as well, didn't they? Maybe one other as well.
Stroll got a penalty, but I think that was for causing a collision.
Yes, and he gets a 3-place grid penalty for next race out, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, okay, I'm going to run down the top 10 finish. Well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to run down all the finishes.
I was going to say there's only like 13.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Lewis Hamilton ended up winning the race. More by luck, would you say?
Purely by luck.
Because we haven't really spoken about Hamilton at all. He was really insignificant in this race, but kept his nose clean. There was not a lot of action around him.
Yeah, it just seemed like a race where Lewis wasn't quite hooked up, you know?
Right.
Just wasn't. I mean, I think it's fair to say in Australia he was, and he had the bad luck.
Yes.
There.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And Vettel had a massive dose of good luck for that as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lewis won quite quietly. Kimi Raikkonen, where the hell did that come from? He ended up coming second. And that's the second race on the trot that he's come second, I think it is. Sergio Perez was third place in the Force India, picking up their first podium since Baku not 2 years ago. I'm blanking on where their last podium was. Anyway, he ended up coming third. Sebastian Vettel was fourth after his lockup. Carlos Sainz was fifth in the Renault. Charles Leclerc was sixth in the Sauber. And that was a rise to fame, if ever there was one. Mm-hmm. He also overtook Alonso at some point on the racetrack as well, who came home seventh. Lance Stroll was eighth. Van Dorn was ninth, and Brendan Hartley, picking up his first points in Formula One, was 10th. Marcus Ericsson just missed out on the points in 11th. Pierre Gasly was 12th, and Kevin Magnussen was the official last runner in 13th. Valtteri Bottas was class 14th, but he didn't really see the checkered flag.
No.
So there you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it had everything.
This was what I like to say bonkers. It was clearly bonkers. I loved it from start to finish. I want more races like this.
Yes.
And I feel really sorry for Baku 2016, where I personally slagged it off to the hilt and wanted it withdrawn from the calendar straight away. So I eat humble pie on that. So.
Well, I mean, my message to Crofty was, can we just come here again instead of bothering with Monaco? Because, okay, rant incoming, but look, you have a street circuit like this, which gives you a race like this.
Yeah.
And then you have Monaco. No excuse. Fuck Monaco. Fuck it in. You're going to sit and watch Monaco this year. The boring ass procession we're going to have. The bloody 2-hour snore fest that's going to be Monaco this year after a race like this. And tell me, well, it's part of a DNA of Formula One. You know, the glitz and the glamour. Fuck that.
I so hope it's a good race this year. I
hope it's a good race this year as well. But I tell you what, I'll lay money right here and now. It won't be.
Okay, cool. Right. Just for that, I'll let you run through the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship stand-ins after this race.
Oh, well, you know, if you insist.
Yeah, do it now.
Okay. Yeah, yes, master. Yes, master. Okay, so drivers' standings. In fifth place, we have Ricciardo with 37 points. Fourth place, Bottas with 40 points. Third place, climbing 2, is Kimi Raikkonen with 48. In second, falling 1, Sebastian Vettel with 66. And a new leader in the Drivers' Championship is Lewis Hamilton with 70.
Right.
And I tell you what, this time last year, Sebastian Vettel was still ahead in the championship.
Oh, don't. No, there's a long way to go.
Oh, I know there is. I'm merely pointing out that everyone's saying, oh, Lewis is having a terrible year, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's doing all right, isn't he?
He's doing better than he was doing this time last year. Anyway, Constructors' Championships. Fifth place, Renault with 35. Fourth place, and it is a shock, McLaren with 36. Don't think they'll be staying there much longer.
No.
Third place, Red Bull with 55. Dropping 1 to second is Mercedes with 110. And taking the lead once more is Ferrari with 114.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I was really impressed with Renault this time out.
Yeah.
I thought their battle with the Red Bulls was really good. I am constantly disappointed by McLaren, though. I know they both finished in the points this race, but
well, no, did Van Dorn finish in the points?
he finished 9th.
Did he? Okay. I mean, he had a really late pit stop as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I again, you know, I love me some McLaren, but no excuse. Until you admit you have a problem, you ain't never going to be able to solve it.
No.
And I don't know if they're quite ready to admit they have a problem yet.
Well, look at the finishers. Both Red Bulls and a Mercedes didn't finish this race. And so with that, McLaren haven't scored any points.
Yeah.
So,
but again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like, you take Alonso out of your pitch and where would McLaren be then?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay, right. So, are we finished on this race now?
I think so, except for our predictions from last time out.
Okay, right. Let me wind back the clock a little bit. Okay, right. I am contracted to ask this question. Do you remember what you went for last time out?
I do.
Oh, okay, cool. So, pole position. Who did you go for? Just checking.
I think I went for Hamilton.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah.
And with that, you get no points.
Nil point.
No points. I, on the other hand, went for Kimi, and in 2 sectors, I had that point, and then on the last sector, he totally blew it for me. So no points for me again.
Nil point.
Excellent. So for the race win, you went for
Ricciardo.
You certainly did. And how many points do you get for that?
None. But I would like to point out I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that pesky kid.
Fair play. And I went for
That pesky kid.
that pesky kid, Verstappen.
Yes.
And I get no points, although I was in front of you when you took me out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes. But this is the next one is the one I'm interested in.
Okay, do you remember how many laps you said behind the safety car? Now, this was meant to be on the nose.
Yes.
So how many laps behind the safety car did you predict that we would have in this race?
I believe I predicted 12.
No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No, you predicted 8.
Ah, fuck. I was sitting there thinking, yes, I've got it. And fuck.
No, you predicted 8.
Ah, well.
I think the actual tally for this race is 11. I'm sure it was 7 laps behind in the second instance and 4 laps behind in the first instance.
Well, I know whatever it was more than 8. I thought it was 12, but, whatever.
Yeah, I'm
All
sure...
I do know, however, is you predicted 0.
All right, okay. Yes, I did predict 0. And 1.5 corners down the road, I was winning. I predicted 0, but I did put in brackets 12. That's where maybe the
that might be where the 12 came from, yeah.
So I still wouldn't have got it. I would have been closer, but we weren't playing nearest to pin anyway. So
no, there was no nearest to pin.
Yeah.
So also no points. So you're still leading.
Hang on, let me just check the leaderboard in the back of the book. And yes, I am still winning with 4 points.
Still all to play for then.
Yeah, that's correct. So, next time out, we have the Spanish Grand Prix.
It's Barcelona.
Yeah, back into Europe.
Yes.
As some would consider. You're looking forward to this? Do you like the Spanish Grand Prix?
Meh.
Really, meh? Okay. Not a classic?
It's a weird one. It doesn't elicit any kind of emotion. I can't think of any amazing races. I think it kind of suffers from maybe at least the last 2 years now, coming straight after Baku.
Yeah, okay.
It's just well. I mean, it's always interesting because this is usually where you get the B-spec cars show up. All the changes they've learned from the first 4 races show up here.
All the new mods. Yeah.
All the new mods and cons and stuff, yeah. I'll give you some stats from last time out.
Yeah,
pole position was Lewis.
Yeah.
Fastest lap was Lewis. And the podium was Lewis from Vettel from Ricciardo.
Okay.
And just as far as historically, because we like those, Schumacher won here 6 times. Louis Chiron won here 3 times. And that was in 1928, 1929 and 1933.
I wasn't around for them.
No, me neither. And then also Jackie Stewart, Nigel Mansell, Alain Prost, and Mika Häkkinen won here 3 times too. And Hamilton, Alonso, Raikkonen, Senna, Andretti, and Fittipaldi all won here twice. I don't think Vettel's ever won here. Yes, he has, 2011.
Okay. Right, well, since you're behind in the leaderboard between myself and you, would you like to pick who would you like for pole position?
Oh, I'm going to go Lewis.
You're going Hamilton, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Any reason why, or do you reckon he's going to be on a roll now?
He's due.
He's due.
He's due for one sooner or later.
Okay. Okay, well, I am going to stick with... I'm going to go with Kimi Räikkönen again. I think...
You think he's due?
Yeah. Yeah, I think in pre-season testing, the Ferraris were clearly the favourite coming from this track as well. They'll have a lot of data. I know a lot of teams will have a lot of data for this, but I feel
they do all the testing here and everything, don't they?
Yeah. I feel that Kimi is almost in front of Vettel in qualifying. I'm not going to say racing because he's clearly not, even though he's getting better. He's got a couple of good positions in the last couple of races, but yeah, okay, Kimi for pole position. What about race? Who do you think will win?
Going to go Hamilton again.
Oh, okay, Hamilton clean sweep. Okay. I am going to go with... Who shall I go with? I'm going to go with Ricciardo. There we go. Yeah, Ricciardo. And a third column. What do you reckon?
Ooh, third column.
Because it's not really notorious for safety cars, is it?
No.
So that's not likely. Oh, what about... Where do we think Max Verstappen will finish, since he's had a couple of bumps and grinds recently?
I've got a better one, maybe.
Okay.
I'll give you 2 options here.
I'm all up for better ones.
One is easier to figure out. One might be more interesting, though.
Okay.
So the easier one to figure out, position of the top Spanish driver.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it could be Alonso, it could be Sainz,
Yeah.
but you got to, on the nose, because none of it's close to the pin bollocks anymore, it's on the nose.
Yeah.
Where will they finish? That's the easier one to figure out. Or, and I'm not entirely sure how we'd work this one out, but my other idea was most improved car over their testing times. So we find out the best time they did in the testing.
Yep.
And see which car was most improved.
Oh, that's... I don't know.
Because then you'd have to find the fastest lap over the entire weekend.
Yeah.
I think that's a more interesting one to do, but it seems like a lot of work. And if there's one thing I'm not about, it's work.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So should we do with the Spaniards then?
Let's go with the Spanish thing. Let's go with the Spanish theme.
So here's the thing, right?
Yep.
2 points on offer here, but you have to be on the pin for both of them.
Okay.
You have to the position of the top finishing driver.
Yep.
And you get a bonus point if you correctly guess which driver it is. So what you could say is you think the top Spaniard to finish will be 5th place.
Yep.
With Alonso. And if Sainz finishes 5th place, you get 1 point for that.
Yep.
But if it had been Alonso, you get 2.
That sounds good to me.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right.
So what are you going for?
Oh, shit.
5th and Alonso.
Fuck it, yeah. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go 5th and Alonso.
Okay. Are you sure? You sure you want to go with that?
Yeah, why not?
5th and Alonso.
Stranger things have happened.
No, that's true.
I can't think of any at the top of my head, but I'm assured that they have.
I'm sure he's going to put on a great performance as well.
No, my light's going to be taken out in the first corner.
Okay. I'm going to go with... Where am I going to go with? Hang on. Where did Sainz finish?
You can also still pick Alonso if you want. You just can't pick 5th and Alonso, you see.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. I'm going to go 7th. And it's going to be... Sod it. Let's go with Sainz. Might as well.
Okay.
7th and Sainz. So if Sainz finishes 7th, I get 2 points. If Alonso finishes 7th and he's the highest Spaniard,
you get 1 point. But you don't get any points if Sainz finishes 7th, but Alonso finishes 6th or 4th or anything like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes total sense.
Everybody got that?
I think so, yes. I think so. Right, okay. Shall we move on then?
Yes, let us onwards move.
Yes. Well, thank you to everyone who's listened to this. I'm sorry it's a long one, but there was a lot to talk about.
It was a lot.
There was a hell of a lot to talk about. So
can we just give our thanks to the Baku circuit, which was amazing.
Yep.
Special thanks especially to Ocon, Raikkonen, Alonso, Sorokin.
People that fell before us.
The people, all those who died before us, your emperor thanks you. A special thanks, especially for Red Bull drivers.
Yep.
This was more of this, please. If I could have, I'm not going to be greedy. There's 21 races in a season.
Yep.
Give me 11 of these a season, and I will be a happy bunny.
Yeah.
Give me 11 of these a season. You can keep Monaco. I don't give a fuck. I got to do something else on that day.
Okay, you'd still watch it.
Of course I'd still watch it. Just to bitch about it. Yeah. But fuck Monaco.
Okay. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's made it this far in listening to two idiots talk about Formula One. I'm actually thinking about changing the title of this podcast, but I probably won't. So
we could give it a subtitle if you want.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, should do. If you enjoyed this and you want to hear more of myself and Andy talking about other stuff in various ways, then please pop along to RogueTwoMedia.com. We have lots of shows over there. Please pop along to iTunes and give us a review and rating over there. Say something nice, 5 stars, and say something pleasant. And we, if it's comical, then we might even read it out. You never know.
Yeah.
We also have Patreon and a PayPal account as well. So if you want to keep the lights on at Grand Prix Podcast and you're enjoying it at the moment, if it's getting you through your Monday or Tuesday morning, then pop over to patreon.com/RogueTwoMedia and chuck us a buck, throw us some shekels if you want to buy us a coffee or whatever. It will keep the lights on and keep us doing this sort of stuff. If you don't, we'll still keep doing this, and you can still have this entertainment for free. So that's not a problem there. Please also check the blackdogpodcast.com, the film review show that I'm on every week. So pop over there, and I forget what we're doing this week. Oh no, we're doing Full Metal Jacket. That's right. Yes. Yeah, looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. So that'll be coming out this Wednesday. And Andy, have you got anything on the Great Derelicts this time round?
I just released a long old look at the comic backstory for Thanos with Infinity War just coming out. I chat with Willie Cutler Hallett, and we just talk about some of the ins and outs of his more eccentric comic book past, which was a lot of fun. Yep. Very informative, so you got to give that a listen if you like. If I could just add to what Elton said as well, if you've enjoyed this, pass it on to a friend. Just tell a friend, you should go and listen to this because it's fun. Because that's what we want. We want to take over the world, and to do that, we need followers. We're building a cult here. We need followers, because a cult without followers is two crazy people talking about Formula One, and that just will not stand. So, pass it around to your friends and all that. Pass it around to your enemies. Pass it around to everyone.
Exactly.
Strange people on the bus. Say, you. Listen to this.
Well said, sir. Well said. Yeah,
Thank you.
So we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the Spanish Grand Prix. So until then, thank you very much, and bye-bye.
See you later.
That move for 6 might be coming on the Renault. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, especially if Ocon has got a problem, because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?